All right, good afternoon. There are students, there are 26 students online. We can start now. This afternoon, I was speaking with Miss Karen, and supposedly I was planning to give you your quiz on the 17th, but there is already a prepared schedule time slot for your quiz. It's either in the university. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think the schedule will be on the 21st, isn't it? So it will still be approved, but I think we are going to operate on that timeline, on that following schedule. So for now, since I really would like to help you out, I decided that as I informed you earlier, we are just going to get the first two lessons, no? The introductory part, including what is psychology. That's all, no? So that you can actually concentrate on those. After all, your quiz will be 10 items only. Okay? So are we good with that? Or you like some more coverage?
No, that's good.
No, thanks.
Yeah, because I do not want you to fail, no? Um, please prepare for it and try to do good with your quiz. I do not know if I'm going to give you another quiz, but as I mentioned to you earlier, a second quiz may be given. It depends on the outcome on the first quiz. So I encourage you to do better or to do your best on your first quiz so that you cannot or you will not attend the second quiz any longer. There is no need for you to have your second quiz. So let's try to continue discussing our lesson pertaining to human development. Now, as I was actually saying, every human individual would actually pass through a specific stage of human development, where in every specific stage, you have to pass through specific characteristics. Now, the focus on understanding is that because we would like the human being to understand every single individual. If you know an individual to come to you and you know their age already, at least you will be able to know how to deal with them. That's actually the point in understanding the stage of their development. You see, where they belong to. Of course, when you are going to be engaged with a child, you have to know what is the characteristic of that particular person in terms of psychological development, emotional development, among others. As I described to you in the periods of development, I discussed with you 8 stages from the period of prenatal up to late adulthood. You see, there is definitely a distinction, a distinctive characteristics on every stage of human development. Now, let's try to proceed with the next development, which we call physiological development. That is what's going on with your body, right? Now, the developmental psychologists would always analyze age-related changes that occur throughout the human life cycle, from conception until death. We have to look into what's actually going on, you see? So, all the things that are actually going on into your body could be differentiated from the time you were born up to the time you are going to die. Remember, when you are actually inside the mother's womb, that is the time when you are experiencing massive growth. The activity of your cells would be enormous until such time that it becomes slow. So therefore, the need of your cell would always be more than what is actually adequate. We need to nourish that particular cell so that it will come out with what is supposed to develop or go to, right? Now, another very important nature that we would like to understand is the nature-nurture debate that has motivated the study of development. Now, what is actually the importance of the nature-nurture debate? Now, come to think of it, this is still a philosophy that gives rise to so many psychologists who think that our characteristics would actually be inherent in us, would have been acquired from our ancestors would have been acquired from our parents. So there is a period of inheritance we inherit from them. And of course, we are going to look into that, no? Just because we're going to study how come, how it happened, the genetic factors, among others. And on the other hand, the one that is contradicting this is the nurture concept, as I mentioned to you earlier also. No, these are some of the controversies that we need to answer in solving some of the mysteries that we have in the development about personality, nurture. Can we change the behavior of an individual over time? Can we change the trait of an individual over time that otherwise could have been permanent since we would have acquired this from our parents? Can we do that? So that is the basic contention that we have in the nurture concept. So until now, this debate gives rise to so many concepts that are actually coming in developmental psychology. Now, the nature-nurture debate has motivated the study of development. That is, an individual's development that is determined by heredity or the environment. You see, as I mentioned to you, the basic example that I gave last time is that when your parents are intelligent, their IQ is 150, for instance, they're genius. The tendency is that we will think that the children would actually acquire that type of intelligence. They could actually have at least 150 IQ also. Is that possible? Maybe yes, maybe no. This is the problem that is until now unresolved. Because they studied, the developmental psychologists studied also other people. How come that an illiterate couple, a father and the mother, have no education? And otherwise, they would actually be, you see, their IQ could actually be very low. How come that they would have produced an offspring that would be super intelligent, above average, superior, or maybe genius? How would that be? And their academic performance would be superb in the university. How could that be? To come to think of it, parents whose IQ are very low would give an offspring that would be very intelligent and achiever. Is this a result of nature or heredity, or is this coming from an exposure to the environment? These are some of the debates that we need to answer in understanding this, the very basic concept of the nature and nurture debate. So let us try to look into other principles. The first thing that we have to look is the principle of variability. What is actually the meaning of the principle of variability? No? It states that development is an orderly process. That is, maturation proceeds from peaks and starts rather than in a continuous smooth fashion. The rate is also constant. What is the meaning of this one? No? Now, we know for a fact that our cell could actually be produced specifically for a specific organ. They will not assume any other organ. They are actually going to be specialized. Look at this. If you are going to imagine what's actually happening inside the cell, this is until now, this is the mystery that we need to solve, no? Because imagine, from a mother's egg cell that contains 23 chromosomes, and from the father's sperm cell that contains chromosome 23 also, combined, we will produce 46 chromosomes, which we call somatic cell. That will be the basis of human development. From 46, then we differentiate a specific type of cells that would produce nervous system, that would produce different organ systems. The 11 of it, no? How come? So this is actually the meaning of the principles of variability. It is constant, it is actually steady, then eventually there will be a point that they will differentiate one another as they grow. How is that? No? As something like it's very difficult to think from single cell to a more complex organism. How would we differentiate the cell from that simple zygote up to we produce a very complex fetus? So it's very difficult, but that's actually the principle of variability. There is a point of differentiation on the cell wherein the cell would actually grow constantly and eventually differentiate or become varied from one another, variable from one another, different from one another, producing a specific type of cell that would give rise to specific systems in the body. Now, another one, of course, is the principle of independence. These are all genetic concepts that we should understand. Now, the principle of independence, what do you mean by this? Different parts and systems of the body develop in largely independent patterns and sequences. That's the reason why there are specific parts of the body that would have been developed first, obviously. You see? So until such time that everything, we will actually look into that as we go on. No? So there will be a point that you are going to start first with the development of the eyes, then eventually after a few months of the organ system, among others. All right? So we will look at that as we go on. So every single organ will actually be capable of developing on its own independently. Moving forward, the principle of differentiation as in number one. Differentiation increases with development. As you actually grow old, everything is becoming clearer. Every specific cell becomes or assumes its specific function. It actually develops into a specific organ. The development occurs along the line from its head to its tail, which we call cephalocaudal, and eventually it will be proximodistal. This is the period of development where we start with the head going downward, then eventually followed by proximodistal from the center outward. That is actually the basic principle of differentiation. The first thing, if you're going to look at what's going on also with our cognitive development and reflexes, the same way. Proximodistal and cephalocaudal. That's how we actually develop and improve. Next one, the principle of integration, wherein every part works with one another to assume one function, and that is actually to give life. If one organ is actually malfunctioning, then everything will be affected, just like the car. If the ignition of the car is affected, then everything will be affected. The car cannot actually move. If the injection coil has a problem, then the car also will not move. Basically, the body also. If there is a problem with the heart, then everything will be affected. That is the meaning of principle of integration. No? Integration increases with development. Motor actions, which are awkward at first, become coordinated in the end. In terms of cognitive and as well as the development of our reflexes, a similar way. We need to integrate, right? We are actually integrated, particularly the musculoskeletal. You cannot move without actually the fully developed musculoskeletal system. The muscular system and skeletal system. Skeletal system supports, while muscular system gives the movement it requires. And of course, other internal organs that we know of. That's what we understand in the principle of integration. All right, moving forward, the principle of predictability. We know eventually how it actually becomes. That's the reason why we can predict what will happen to every individual in terms of physical development, physiological development, emotional development, biological development, among others. Okay? Here, infants follow a certain pattern of motor development. But the age at which one child achieves such acts may be different from that of the other. As I mentioned to you, there is a range. That's the reason why some individuals could actually have early development. We should know that. And other individuals could have a late development. That's why if you're going to look at the different stages of human development, there is a range from 0 to 5 or 6. It tells so. Okay? So 5 or 6 means to say the 5 is the early development and 6 is the late development. So that our expectation will actually be falling on that. That's the reason why we can always explain if a person says, why is it that my son is already 1 year old and he cannot speak? You know for a fact that there is a late development. So you can always assure that particular person who asks you that question, don't worry, he will develop in few months' time. You see? That's how we can actually do in the principle of predictability. We know what happens. We know what will happen in the future. Just because this is actually a proven trend, a proven track. That's what we could actually have, no? Another one, of course, is the principle of limitation. What do we have here? No? The maturation sets the limits of on learning and on growth. An infant cannot learn to control movements, particularly in terms of coordination of our muscular skeletal system and reflexes, until such time that his skeleton and his nervous and muscular systems will be sufficiently mature to permit such learning. You see, it's very difficult to understand now that a lot of parents would allow their child to, or would force their child to move. You see, you can see they are asking already the child to walk, even though they are only 6 months. They cannot walk because you know for a fact that they can only walk when there is full integration of the musculoskeletal system and at the same time of the nervous system. That will be the age of 2 to 5 years of age. But you cannot force that, no? You cannot force the child to walk. That's why we have what we call as limitation. A lot of parents are buying toys for their children who cannot even recognize letters, who cannot even recognize colors. At the age of maybe 7 months, they buy already toys for learning. They will not learn. They will not recognize that, no? So it's useless to buy toys. You can only buy toy when they know already how to recognize shape, how to recognize color, how to recognize letters, among others. So these are some of the mistakes that we are actually doing. You see? It's useless to buy them toys like that. So these are the mistakes that we have. No? I always advise parents who need to postpone. Imagine, the child is not born yet, and yet they have been buying toys already. For me, it's okay if they have extra cash, but you know, a cash-strapped person must not actually do that because they will not appreciate. Children will not appreciate that. You know, they will start decorating already the room with so many toys there. Do you think they can recognize that? They will see it, but they cannot recognize it yet because they do not know it yet. Why? Their brain and their cognitive abilities cannot yet pick them up. So it's useless. That's actually the point, no? So it's better if you know already what particular stage they are in so that you can actually try to supplement that. You can buy a toy at the right time so that you can also save money. That's actually the point. We have to understand our children. We have to understand growth and development. We have to understand human development. We have to understand stages of human development. You see, everybody must actually pass through on that stages. Imagine we are expecting children to act like adults, and that could not be, no. We have to know and understand the principle of limitation. There is a limitation of everything. You see, a child cannot actually go more than what they can actually do. That's the thing. All right, moving forward, this is the stage of development that I would like to show to you. No? All right, the stages of development. Imagine this. A child cannot walk when they are born. They start to crawl. You see? You cannot force them to move. You cannot force them to walk until such time that they're ready to walk. They're starting to balance. Then after that, they will actually walk. They will go to school. They will actually look for mate. Then eventually, they will be converted this way also, Something like the old people. We are going to start from the beginning also at the end of the day. The child is dependent. Eventually, this person will become old. She will become dependent again once more. This is actually the challenge that we have. No, we have to understand that. That's why I keep on telling my students, enjoy life as you can enjoy it. You only live once. If you are here, there will be a point that you will become dependent again. That's the reason why a person must enjoy what they have at that particular instant. Do not tell me that you are going to tell yourselves, I will enjoy my life when I become a dentist. When are you going to leave? Come on. You see? So this is the thing, no? This is the importance of understanding our human development. We need to understand every single stage of development so that we will enjoy, and we have other people to enjoy also every second of the day of their lives. At one point, if we are going to last long, we are going to become dependent once more. If we'll die young, it's okay also. See, as long as we live as we wish, we live the life that we want, we enjoy every second of the day that we know. Okay, that's physical development. Now, I really would like to, physiological development, I really would like to emphasize different genetic principles that we have to observe, addressing the controversy on nature and nurture controversy. You see, until now, it's very difficult to come out with what actually wins. After all, nature and nurture may actually exert an influence to human development. That's why we cannot select between the two. Okay? So moving forward, we have the so-called physical development. It's just a repetition of what we have earlier. The so-called prenatal development. You know already what's going to happen in prenatal development, no? So this is the period of development from conception to birth. From the time you are going to conceive up to birth. Now there is a period of debate. There is a debate that says, a child who is not born is not yet a child. But as a religious, as a member of Catholic Church, also I believe on once that the child is fertile, once that the ovum is already fertilized and implanted on the uterine wall, the child, that particular embryo is already alive. No one has to take that particular embryo out from the mother's womb, or else that's killing an individual. That's my belief, no? So I'm always teaching, no? Once that is already formed, it's already a living being. That's the reason why in prenatal development, this is the period of the development from conception, that is from fertilization up to your birth, no? What's actually going on here? Why we are actually having this contention, no? So the average pregnancy will last for around 270 to 280 days, or approximately 9 months or 40 weeks. Okay? I imagine 40 weeks. It's more than even 40 weeks. It's in 9 months, no? 40 weeks at times, 9 around 36 days, no? 36 weeks. But there are months that are actually being 5 weeks, so we can actually assume that the average period of prenatal development would be 9 months and 40 weeks, or approximately around 280 days, short of 30 days. Yeah. Now, at conception, what happens in the prenatal development, as I mentioned to you earlier, you have learned this in your biology class, in your science class, no? You know what happened here? The sperm cell fertilizes the egg cell. They are going to form a zygote, no? It's a complex process, no? If you're going to look into the internal organ of an individual, particularly female, the uterus, and there is what we call as the fallopian tube, no? So most of the time, an individual, a girl, a female will release one egg cell every month, no? So this egg cell is released to be caught by the timbre of your fallopian tube, either or, the left or the right. There are two fallopian tubes. Either the right ovary will actually release one mature egg cell. So it actually stops. It remains there for a while. If there is a sperm cell that comes in, then it will be fertilized. If there is no sperm that will not come in, then there will be no fertilization, resulting into the scraping of the uterus, resulting into menstruation. That's actually the real concept of the whole process. Now, when there is fertilization, what happens is that the egg, which is called a zygote, will go downward and implant itself on the wall of the uterus. And it will remain there until the time that it is ready to be born. Why it needs to implant itself on the wall of the uterus? Because that zygote will need nourishment from the mother's womb, from the mother's blood, because you are going to share the same blood until such time that you are going to start breathing already. So your blood will circulate on the fetus also through the umbilical cord, right? So that's actually what's happening in the prenatal development until such time that you're going to be born. See? So it's very important that you should know this concept. So you know what? Every single person underwent a very complex process. That's the reason why every single person is very important. And no one is supposed to take the life of any other person, including the life of the child inside the mother's womb. That's why I believe in until now. No, I'm very passionate about that. So what's actually happening? This I mentioned to you earlier. I am going to discuss with you on the principle of variability, on the principle of predictability, on the principle of differentiation. We have to look on what's happening every single week inside the mother's womb. All right? Do you follow me? No? So this is actually what's happening inside the mother's womb when there is already implantation, and after that have been fertilized on the uterine wall. On week 2, okay? So what happens? There is implantation on the uterine wall. So the zygote will still be floating around, It's still there. After fertilization, it moves downward from the fallopian tube going to the uterine wall. It moves slowly for around 14 days. After 14 days, 3 to 4 weeks, the heart begins to pump. Therefore, the first organ to be developed will be the heart. But of course, it does not pump its own blood. It pumps the blood that it gets from the mother through the umbilical cord. That's 3 to 4 weeks. The heart is already very functional during that time. That is around 1 month. You notice that you are still very tiny, no? The fetus is still very tiny. After 1 month, around 4 weeks, what is going to be developed will be the digestive system, all right? Followed by the eyes. That's why you have big eyes and big head, no? So the eyes will be developed third. The person to be developed will be the heart, followed by the digestive system. After that, the eyes is going to be formed. In the principle of differentiation and predictability, you see? So the cell pertaining to that will actually organize or develop a highly specialized tissue already. Anyway, a group of cells will be tissues, right? Now, after the eyes, the port to be developed in 5 weeks, that's 1 month and 1 month in 1 week, the ears will actually form. See? So from big head, you have already big eyes, then the ears will slowly form after 1 month. After the ears could actually be formed, tiny little fingers, arms, and legs appear, So from very tiny creature there, tiny legs will appear and tiny arms will appear also. That will be on a period of week 6. That is 1 month and 2 weeks approximately. After the formation of the legs and the arms, that will be on the 7th and 8th week, there will be the formation of male 6 organ. And at the same time, the fingers will also be very distinct. Now, sir, you may ask me, can we determine the gender already of the fetus inside the mother's womb at week 8? Because during this time, the male 6 organ is already developing. No, you cannot still distinguish until the male organ and the female organ will be fully developed at 4 months. Okay? Next, week 9, that is about 2 months and 1 week. The bones, although very brittle, legs and arms and toes, the toes will already be formed. No, it's becoming bigger. It becomes pronounced already. You can already see that from the fetus that's floating around. Now on week 10, 11, that is about 3 months. No, about divided by 4, yeah, about 3 months. Female 6 organ will also form. No, so we will wait 1 more month, and we can actually see the gender of the fetus already through ultrasonography, or we call it ultrasound. Approximately on week 12, that is 4 months, the fetus will weigh almost double, about 1 ounce already. Still, very small. There is already a fetal movements inside the mother's womb. You can see it's like a tiny fish moving inside the mother's womb. Then tiny fingerprints that is actually unique to individual will initially form also. At week 12, that is around 4 months. That's around 3 months. Now at week 20, that's around 5 months. Definitely, you can see the gender through ultrasound. Do not go to the doctor at your 3rd month of pregnancy and asking, "Doctor, what is the gender of my baby?" The doctor cannot say the gender at age during 3 months. 4 months, maybe yes, but 5 months will be sure. No. Now, what's happening in week 20? The mother will feel the movement. The child is already will move around. All right. Then the reflexes will start to be developed. Packing reflex, sucking reflex, swallowing. In fact, the swallow, no? And hiccuping. All right. Nail will appear. Sweat glands will be formed, and tiny little soft hair will actually be developed also. Now, on week 38, that's approximately about 8 months, 9 months, no? You are fully developed already. Everything will be fully functioning, no? The fetus will weigh around 7 pounds. That's approximately 3 kilos to 3.5, no? If you have a 5-kilogram child, then that will be very heavy. An average child may weigh around 3 kilos or 3.5, around 7 pounds. Okay? Then at week 40, the full-term baby will actually be born. That's what's going on inside the mother's womb during the prenatal period of development. You should know that, no? Now, moving forward, all right, the child who is still unborn can be affected or influenced by some diseases. No, there could be a problem that will be developed physiologically and physically if the child is going to be, or the mother and the child will be affected by specific disease or illness. Like in the case of German measles, the rubella, no? Now, in case you acquire this, it may result into deaf, cataract, mental deficiency, or heart diseases in babies who are not yet born. No? Imagine that if you acquire rubella or the German measles while you are having a pregnancy, then you could actually develop a disease. Okay, maybe you can now develop a child who will become deaf. The child may not even see, no, among others. Now, for sexually transmitted diseases, if you have this, You know, in other countries, they have this a lot. Maybe syphilis, or there is also malaria. You are affected by malaria, smallpox, chickenpox. These are all caused by viral infection and mumps. That's parotitis, no? Or any infectious disease caused by small agents enough to pass through the placenta may also result into some form of deformities or defects. Remember, what you have in the mother's circulatory system will also go to the child's circulation. After all, mother and the child are still sharing the same blood. That is such time that you remove the cord. You see? That will be the time that you initiate the circulatory system, the circulation of the blood in the baby. That will be the time also that the child needs to breathe on its own, needs to oxygenate its own blood. All right? So that's actually what's going on. Understood?
Doctor,
Yeah.
sorry for interrupt, but can you please share the full screen because like we can't see click to add and whatever, and we can't see the whole screen.
Yeah, that's right. So the same problem, no?
Yeah,
The
but
same problem as of yesterday, yeah? Okay. Now
Like,
you can
doctor,
see.
the slides are zoomed in. We can't see the full slide.
You can see now?
Not the full one, not the full slide. Yeah, now it's
Ah,
better.
okay. All right. I think that's better, no? So we
Yeah.
cannot just go on the presentation mode. So anyway, any disease will affect the child, unborn child. That's the reason why we encourage mothers to see the doctors at least one in every trimester. What is the meaning one in every trimester? Once in every trimester, once in every 3 months. Just like telling the child that you should go and see the dentist twice a year, no? Once in every 6 months. A pregnant mother, since we need to take care of the child inside the mother's womb, must see the doctor at least once in every 3 months. We call it once every trimester. So that you can actually assess what's going on with the child inside the mother's womb. Now, moving forward, maternal malnutrition as well as anoxia. Also, anoxia means lack of oxygen. And at the same time, infectious diseases may affect the development of the fetus. You may actually have a premature birth, or you may actually have stillborn babies. Stillborn babies are babies who are dead inside the mother's womb. It will be dangerous for both the mother and of course, the child is already dead. It will be very dangerous for the mother. So the child may be poisoned if the dead child inside the mother's womb will not be removed. So we have to be very careful. That's why when you are getting pregnant, you should eat nutritious foods. And you continue seeing your OB/GYN or your doctor in that particular instance. Moving forward, alcohol also and smoking will increase the fetal heartbeat. You know, for a fact that as of these days, there are mothers who are smoking still. No, they know already that the child will be affected, but still there are mothers who are smoking. There are mothers who are taking alcohol. How would that be? The alcohol will go to the mother's bloodstream, and the child will be affected. No, so that will be a problem. Okay. Then the effects of X-rays also and other forms of radiation may retard the child, may affect the mentality of the child. That's why if you are a pregnant mother, you must not see or you must not undergo X-ray. Huh? As much as possible, you have to do that. That's one of the limitations that you may actually have because it may affect the baby inside the mother's womb. And of course, if you are a pregnant mother, you should be very happy, you know. So boys, no, if you're going to get married and you're going to have wives, no, make it sure that the wives will be very happy. Why? Because emotional states of the mother can influence the unborn child. What the mother feels will be felt by the child. If the mother is sad, the child also will be very sad. You will feel that. because there is a special connection between the two of you. So that's the thing. If there is shouting match inside the house, the child can actually hear that also. You know why? Because the organ system of the child, the organ systems are already fully functioning, since the organs are already functioning at that. So they can hear, they can see. The endocrine irregularities are also found to be factors in some problems that will develop, like goiter, among others. No? Then this is very common among UAE locals, no? Because of the intermarriage between relatives. I think you know already. That's why in United Arab Emirates, particularly in Ras Al Khaimah, we got already one center at SIP Hospital, no? The Thalassemia Center. So we have a program in United Arab Emirates pertaining to thalassemia, because this is also a big factor, no? The blood incompatibility, or Rh positive and Rh positive man and woman. This would always be resulting between intermarriage of relatives, no? That will result in stillborn. You are lucky if the child is born alive. But yet, if the child is born alive, the child may be mentally retarded, no? So that is actually the problem, no? That's the reason why if there is intermarriage between relatives, we advise you to undergo thalassemia counseling. We have that in Ras Al Khaimah, no? Or before you get married, no? You are going to undergo thalassemia marriage, even though you are not relatives. Better, we need to have your blood tested, no? In order to make it sure that what you're going to come up with, if you're going to have a baby, the baby will be normal. We start from that. We should be aware about that, because we may affect the child inside the mother's womb. That's what's going on with the period of development that we have, no? The first stage, especially the prenatal stage. Now, the use of drugs also, like methadone. The methadone is legal in other countries, but in UAE it's not, no? Methadone easily crosses the, remember this, the methadone or any other drugs for that matter can easily cross the placental barrier. Remember, the child is attached to your placenta, no? And may impede fetus normal development. So therefore, there will be prematurity. The child will be very small. That's the thing. And of course, the effects of pills and other medicine taken by the mother may result also in other deformities. There was a point in the United States where thalidomide have been used extensively for the cure of medicine, for the cure of pain. Sometimes, you know, the child, the pregnancy of the mother would always be affected. You know, there is increased deformities of newly born babies. That is usually the problem that we have, no? So that's why you should be very clear, no? When you get pregnant, make it sure that you are going to see your doctors very often, at least once in every 3 months, so that when you're going to deliver, you have seen your doctors for 3 months already, and that will be good enough. No? Now, let us try to look into motor maturation. What's actually happening during this time? Okay, maturation is a term used to describe genetically programmed biological plan of development that is relatively independent from experiences, as I mentioned to you. So the child will actually start to have their motor development, including inside the mother's womb. Okay, they learn how to suck. This is motor development. I will tell you later on what are these things. Now, the proximodestal principle of development also will describe the center outward in direction of motor development. That's why a newly born child that will be seen on the next stage of development is that the newly born child can actually control their torso before they can control their upper extremities, from the center to upper extremities to lower extremities. Okay, that's how it goes. Right. Now, take note of this. In their motor development, children can control their torso first before their extremities. As I mentioned to you, torso means your body. That's why they move with their body. Okay? if they have the ability to, then later on, they can actually lift their head already. They can sit before they can stand. So they can control first their extremities, then upper extremities, then lower extremities. So that's actually what's going on in terms of motor development among children. No? And on the other hand, the cephalocaudal principle describes the head to foot direction of motor development. So we will develop first the head up to the lower extremities. No? So the child can lift their head first before they can walk. Now, children tend to gain control over the upper portions of the body before the lower part. They can reach, see, use their hands before they can use their feet. That's what's going on. So let us try to understand the period of motor development that we have among children. At 1 month, when they are born already, that after being born, the child may lie prone on stomach and can lift their head. So they cannot still move, they cannot still crawl. So it's very safe to leave them on bed at the age of 1 month. So that's what you should know. But of course, the better, our beds here, particularly the local beds, are very high. I have a bed like that. Sometimes if you're going to fall, your drop will be so immense, So make it sure that the baby will actually be on very low bed, so that whenever there will be accident, they will just actually fall on a very low, you see, height. But do not worry, 1 month time, the child may not still be moving around. But it's safe that you're going to place at the center of the bed your child, so that they cannot actually move. No? So less of accident. That's how that's how you can actually do to raise your children. 2 months after delivery, you can see that the child can lie prone already, right? And first 1 month, they can lift their head. On 2nd month, they can lie prone, but they can hold their head and the chest. So they can already carry their chest and can roll from side to back. This is already the period when the child can actually fall on the bed. There are so many fall, right? Most of the injuries that we have among children would be from 2 months up. 1st month, safe. You will not fall. But 2nd month, they start already moving because they can roll, right? From side to side, front, side. So it's safe that you can actually place the child at the middle, crisscross, no? Horizontally, right? Now, 3 months, the child can roll already, right? Of course, they can fall, no? They can actually travel at a very far distance by rolling. Then they reach objects, or try to reach objects. That's why it's safe that you are actually going to have a pen, no? Where the child can actually play, they will be protected. The pen must actually have handles so that they can actually hold into it. Now, for a period of 6 to 7 months after delivery, the child can already sit because they can control first their torso and their upper extremities. Lower extremities, no. Okay? Sits without support. Do not force your child to sit if they are only 3 months. They cannot sit. They can only sit on 6 months onward. They can stand holding on to objects, but not too long. So is it safe to say that we are going to buy some sort of a stroller? Yes, you can actually do that, no? So that the child can actually sit down on that stroller so that they can actually walk around on an empty space in your house, no? All right? That will be from 6 to 7 months. Do not buy a stroller at the age of 3 months. They will not be used that. It will not be useful. The best thing that you can actually do is to buy the pen, no? Then from 8 to 12 months, it's about 1 year, they can already crawl. So you need always to see and watch the child, no? They pull itself to stand, then they cross. crossing, and then they walk holding two objects slowly. Yeah, so they can actually reach things. These are this is the period where the child is accident prone. No? From the period of 1 year to 1.5 years, then the child will walk by themselves. Not too fast, but they can balance. Do not attempt to force your child to walk when they are only 6 months. They will definitely not walk because they cannot even control their lower extremities. The moment that they can control their lower extremities, that will be the time that they can actually walk by themselves. Expect that they will walk. You see? So that is actually the period of development after birth, in the period of infancy. Okay? Now let us try to look into perceptual development. Class, do you have any question? You will butt in if you want to. You are following? Do you follow?
Yes,
Yes, doctor. Yes.
All right. So, am I going fast? Yeah, just tell me to go slowly if you cannot catch up now. All right. So let's proceed with perceptual development. The process of the coordination of our five senses, perception. Now, I keep on telling you, the sense organ is from the beginning since these are all fully developed inside the mother's womb will function. Right? A lot of people tell the child cannot see, not unless they are born. The child cannot hear, not unless they are born. You see? The child can see. The only problem is that they are inside the mother's womb, so there is no light. The tendency is that we can only see when there is light. But what about hearing? The child can hear. That's why we allow them to hear music. That's the reason why when they are born, they are familiar with the voice that they could hear. Usually the mother is with them. So the most familiar voice that they could hear would be the mother's voice. And with that, they could hear also, and they could recognize the father's voice. Because if you talk to your child inside the mother's womb, they will register your voices in their experiences. So they will recognize that once that they are actually going to be born. You see? You notice that if the child is born and you see their name, they are actually going to see you because they recognize that voice from the time they were inside the mother's womb, inside your womb. Right? They will turn to you at all costs, by all means, because that voice that calls their name, that calls them, sounds familiar to them. They may not know that you are their mother, but it sounds familiar to them, so they turn their attention to you. So the five senses are already functional at birth and even before birth, when the organ systems are already fully developed. See, infants can hear before birth. Okay? So this is the thing. You try to capitalize on this. You see, the intelligence of the child, the so-called interest of the child can be developed inside the mother's womb. That's the reason why some mothers are advised to play music on the child. No? You see, they recognize music also. That's why they can hear. No? Newborn infants appear capable of discriminating between sounds of different duration. They will know what sound is annoying. They will know what sound is music to their ears. They will know also and recognize loudness and pitch. You see? Because of their daily exposure to noise around them. Newborns appear to prepare human voice because they are always continuously interacting with you. Why? You talk to them. They are always hearing their mother's voice, especially giving instructions at home, doing something. They're always hearing the mother's voice. Therefore, that mother's voice is always familiar to them. Boys, if you really would like to compete with the mother, you have to talk to them every single minute. Or else, at the end of the day, the voice of the mother is always the most familiar voice that they could actually hear inside the mother's womb, because the mother is always staying with them all the time, because the mother carries the child. That's the only reason. No? Newborns appear to prepare human voice, as I mentioned to you earlier, because of their exposure to human voice. Now, by the period of 6 months, infants can already discriminate between any two basic sounds that's used in language. That will be the time that they are going to form the concepts. That's why I mentioned to you earlier, if you want that your child will actually learn English, how to talk in English, talk to them in English. Even though you are Arabic, when you talk to them everyday English in every day of your lives in English, they will speak English. There will be a point that they will forget Arabic. You see? But prime time you speak to them in English, they will be English speaking, and at the same time Arabic, they will understand and speak Arabic also. That's how we lose language. That's how we acquire language. That's how we learn language also. That's why if you are going to hire, let's say you are very rich, no, you are already on your practice, no. Some of you may actually have maids or may hire maids. You try to make it sure that you are going to hire a maid who takes care of your child. I'm talking about reality, who takes care of your child, no, and at the same time who speaks English. I'm talking about reality. At one way, at certain point, no, you are going to go to that extent because you're trying to stabilize your family, so you need to work, you need to get a job. At one point, you do not have any more time to your children, but as much as possible, this is discouraged. But these days, especially during the pandemic, we need jobs. We cannot just actually do and sit down, doing nothing. We cannot do that. We have to have jobs so that we have to have money. No, that's the thing. So you can actually get the services of maids who speaks English if you would like that your child will speak English eventually. Yeah. Now, by 6 months, infants can discriminate between any two basic sounds used in language. That's the thing. All right? You're tired? Shall we proceed, or we can actually call it a day today? Hello? You're still there?
As you like, doctor.
I think we have more than enough today, because this will become more complex as we go. And I think I have to start with this, then later on, I can actually go with the rest. Yeah? So next meeting, we'll finish this. Now, if you really would like to pass, I would like to encourage you to start studying the first two lectures that we have. Okay? So I believe I already uploaded that. Now this one I have to upload also, but you do not need to study yet. That's one for your quiz. The quiz will be coming from the two lectures that I gave you. What is psychology? And of course, introduction to behavioral sciences, including the importance of psychology to dentistry. Okay? Please try to start studying so that on 21 you will be ready. All right? Shall we call it a day today? You write your attendance right now, not unless you have any question. Do you have any question?
No, doctor, thank you.
No, doctor, thank you.
All right. Since this is recorded, so please write your last two digits now in the message board. That will serve as your attendance. It will come to me, okay? And those who are done, then you may actually leave the chat room. Have a good day, everyone, and happy vacation. There is a graduation today. I think you need to watch the live graduation. Tomorrow it will be our graduation also, I believe, no? So have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, doctor.
Doctor, don't forget to close the record.